When Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, no one comes to the Father except through me. Many understood this as exclusivity, separation, one group versus another. But what if we slow down and read it carefully? Because sometimes we don't misunderstand the words. We misunderstand the language being used. What is the way? John 14 verse 6 says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. These are not competing titles. They describe a pattern, a path, a lived reality. The way is not something you claim. It is something you walk. What does the Father represent? Throughout Scripture, the Father is associated with source, truth, origin, life. Coming to the Father is not physical movement, but alignment. To come to the Father is to align with what is true. Let's look at except through me. Jesus says, no one comes to the Father except through me. Most people stop there and conclude exclusivity. But let's slow down. Jesus is not only teaching, he is demonstrating. He embodies the way, the truth, and the life. He didn't just talk about the way, he lived it. Now connect this to James 1, verse 22. It says, be doers of the word and not hearers only. This means truth is not just heard. Truth must be lived. That is what John means by the word became flesh and dwelt among us. Truth must be lived. It must be embodied. It must be seen in you. Jesus confirms it by saying, let your light shine before men. Not say it, but live it. Express it. Embody it. Truth is not proven by words. It is revealed through how you live. So now let's read it again. No one comes to the Father except through me becomes, no one comes to truth except through the way being lived. Not gatekeeping, not exclusion, but alignment, embodiment, living truth. Family. The question is not, do I believe the words? But am I living the way? Am I embodying truth? Is my life reflecting it? Because hearing alone is not transformation. Living is. You don't come to truth by hearing it. You come by living it. Now, let's look at the Quran. Surah 16, verse 125 says, invite to the way of your Lord. You see the way. Surah 22, verse 6. That is because Allah is the truth. We see the truth. Surah 15, verse 29. I breathe into him. We see life. So we see a pattern. The way. The truth. Life given. Different language. Similar direction. What both texts are doing. Neither text is saying force people, control belief. Both emphasize invitation, alignment, transformation. Truth is not enforced, it is recognized and lived. Why this matters? Because if we misunderstand this, we turn a path into a label, a way into a system, truth into a debate. When the pattern is missed, the message becomes divided. Why evangelism now makes sense. Now that we've seen the way, the truth, the life, an invitation without force, something begins to come into focus. What if evangelism was never about recruiting people into a religion, but about awakening, reminding, revealing? The call is not to join a religion. It is to awaken people to truth. The Quran says, invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom. It also says there is no compulsion in religion. What do we see? Invitation, not force. Guidance, not control. Truth is not imposed. It is presented. Genesis 1 says, let us make man in our image and likeness. What does this mean? Humanity reflects divine likeness, not something to earn, but something to recognize. You are not being turned into something. You are being reminded of what you are. Now everything aligns. Quran says, invite to the way. Jesus says, walk in the way. Genesis 1 says, made in the image of God. Evangelism is awakening people to the truth of who they are. Evangelism is not recruiting people into a system. It is awakening them to truth and inviting them to align with it. So now the question is not, what do I belong to? But what am I becoming? What am I aligned with? What am I immersing myself in? Because truth is not something you force. It is not something you market. It is something you recognize, something you align with and you live. The call is not to join a group, it is to walk in truth. What does the way mean? The way is a path, a way of living, a pattern of alignment. The focus is not on converting, but on guiding toward a way. Now connect this. In the Bible, we see God baptizing them. Most people read that as a physical act, water baptism. But if we slow down, baptism is immersion. To be immersed, to be fully surrounded, to enter into something completely. It's a symbolic language. Name is nature. Not just a label, but character, essence, identity. Put it together, baptizing in the name becomes immersing into a nature, aligning with a way of being. Now look again. Surah 16, verse 125. Invite to the way. Baptism is immersed into the nature. Both are pointing to transformation, not recruitment. What this changes? This shifts the focus from join my religion to align with truth. Walk in a way. Be transformed inwardly. Think about learning a new mindset. You are not just hearing it. You are immersing in it. You are practicing it. You are becoming it. Real change happens when truth is lived, not just heard. So, when you read invite to the way, baptizing in the name, ask, what am I being invited into? What am I immersing myself in? What nature am I aligning with? Because the goal was never just belief. It was transformation, alignment, becoming. Truth is not something you join. It's something you grow into. So now we understand why Jesus prayed of oneness. What did he say? that they may be one, even as we are one. One alignment, one understanding, one truth. Oneness is not agreement in label, it is alignment in truth. So if we all awaken to truth, we become one. It's not about recruitment. If Christians align to truth, if Muslims align to truth, if all religions align to truth, we all become one because we are all aligned to truth. So evangelism is not about recruiting people into religion. It's about awakening people to truth, awakening people to who they are. So maybe the question is not which side is right, but am I walking in the way? Am I aligned with truth? Am I living what is real? And before you comment, I invite you to watch this again. Read the passages in full and look for the patterns across both texts. Because this space is not for debate or defending positions. It's for those who are willing to slow down, reflect, and understand. You don't have to agree. Just take your time. Read it for yourself and then decide. Because truth does not fear examination. It reveals itself to those who are willing to see.